The shuttle landed on the dark metal platform with a heavy thud. Steam hissed from the engines as the door slowly opened. Kang Do-hyun stepped out into the cold air of Planet Vorn 3. He carried only a small bag over his shoulder. He was 22 years old, average height, with a calm face that showed nothing. Around him stood the Galactic Military Academy. It was massive. Towers of black stone reached into the purple sky. Thousands of alien cadets trained here every year. The academy had been running for over 2,000 years. It had produced the greatest warriors in 12 different species. No human had ever walked these grounds before. Do-hyun was the first. Alien cadets had gathered to watch his arrival. Some stood 3 meters tall, with thick green skin. Others had 4 arms and bodies made of crystal. A few had snake-like forms with scales that shimmered in the dim light. They all stared at the small human with open disgust. This is their best? One of them laughed. He was a Gorvian, tall and strong, with 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. This soft pink thing? The others laughed too. Do-hyun said nothing. He simply looked around, studying the academy, taking note of every exit, every guard position, every shadow. A voice boomed across the landing platform. Cadet Kang Do-hyun of Earth, step forward. Do-hyun walked toward the speaker. It was Commandant Thelvox, the leader of the academy. He was the largest Gorvian Do-hyun had ever seen. His crystalline skin caught the light like broken glass. His 4 eyes looked down at Do-hyun with clear contempt. So, Thelvox said slowly, Earth sends us this. Yes, Commandant, Do-hyun replied. His voice was quiet but steady. Your planet has asked to join the Galactic Federation. The Council has agreed to consider your request. But first, you must prove your species has value. You will undergo our standard evaluation. If you survive, Earth may join. If you fail, Thelvox smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Well, let us hope you do not fail. The alien cadets laughed again. Do-hyun simply nodded. He was taken to his quarters. The other cadets lived in warm buildings with clean water and good food. Do-hyun was given a small room in the oldest part of the academy. The heating system was broken. The water that came from the tap was brown and smelled bad. The bed was a thin mat on a cold floor. A guard dropped his bag inside the door. Enjoy your last night, human. Do-hyun looked around the room. Then he got to work. Within an hour, he had fixed the heating system using parts from a broken lamp. He filtered the water through cloth torn from the curtains. He ate the emergency rations from his bag without complaint. Outside his door, he could hear cadets placing bets on how long he would survive. I give him 6 hours, one said. Too generous. 4 hours. He will break during the first trial. My bet is 12 hours. He looked stubborn. 12 hours was the longest bet anyone placed. That night, Do-hyun lay on his thin mat and waited. He knew they would come. They always did. Every military culture had the same tradition. Test a new recruit. See if they break. The door opened at midnight. Instructor Melik slipped inside. He was a Solari, a snake-like creature with 6 arms and fangs that dripped venom. He moved without sound. In his hand was a curved knife. Melik pressed the blade against Do-hyun's throat. Welcome to the academy, human. Do-hyun opened his eyes. He looked directly at Melik. He did not move. He did not shake. He did not beg. Is this part of the curriculum? Do-hyun asked. His voice was perfectly calm. Or is this personal? Melik froze. He had done this to hundreds of new cadets. They all reacted the same way. Fear, panic, tears, begging. Some had died from shock before he could even cut them. But this human just lay there, asking questions as if there was not a knife at his throat. You are not afraid? Melik asked, Should I be? Malik pressed the blade harder. A thin line of blood appeared on Do-Yoon's neck. The human did not flinch. You will die here, Malik said. You know this. Perhaps, Do-Yoon said. But not tonight. And not from you. Something in those words made Malik pull back. He had been a predator his whole life. He knew when he was looking at prey. And he knew when he was looking at something else. He left without another word. Do-Yoon touched the cut on his neck. It was shallow. It would heal. He closed his eyes and went back to sleep. In the observation room, Yuna watched the footage. She was human too, sent by Earth's military council. Officially, she was a diplomatic attaché. Unofficially, she knew exactly who Kang Do-Yoon was. She knew what he had done before being selected for this mission. She knew what he was capable of. The aliens had no idea. They thought they were testing a weak creature from a weak planet. They did not know that Earth was a death world. They did not know about the predators, the diseases, the ice ages, the wars. They did not understand what it took to survive there. They did not understand what humans really were. Yuna smiled as she watched Do-Yoon sleep peacefully, even with blood still wet on his neck. The evaluation would begin at dawn. The academy thought they were going to break him. She almost felt sorry for them. Dawn came slowly on Vorn 3. The purple sky turned to gray. Do-Hyun woke early. He cleaned his wound. He stretched his body. He ate the last of his rations. Then he waited. Outside, he could hear the academy coming to life. Thousands of cadets preparing for another day. Instructors sharpening their methods of breaking students. And somewhere, Commandant Thelvox was planning exactly how to humiliate the human in front of everyone. Do-Hyun smiled. It was a small smile. A private smile. He had a feeling today was going to be interesting. The testing grounds were famous across the galaxy. For 2,000 years, cadets had entered these arenas to prove their worth. Many had died. The survival rate was about 77%. This meant that nearly 1 in 4 cadets never walked out. Do-Hyun stood at the entrance with 50 other cadets. They were all different species. All of them were bigger than him. All of them had natural weapons. Claws, fangs, armor made of bone or crystal, poison, extra limbs. Do-Hyun had soft skin and 10 fingers. The cadets were given their equipment. The aliens received the best armor, sharp weapons, and medical supplies. When Do-Hyun reached the front of the line, the supply officer looked at him and laughed. For you, human. He threw a dull blade at Do-Hyun's feet. Then some cracked armor that did not fit properly. No ranged weapons. No medical supplies. No communication device. This equipment is damaged, Do-Hyun said. Then fix it, the officer replied. Or die. I do not care which. Do-Hyun picked up the equipment and said nothing more. Senior Cadet Verl approached him. Verl was a Keth, an insectoid creature with 6 limbs, a hard shell, and mandibles that could cut through steel. He was the undefeated champion of the academy. He had killed 18 opponents in formal combat. I am your partner for the evaluation, Verl said. His voice clicked and buzzed. They assigned me to you. They want me to watch you fail. Thank you for telling me, Do-Hyun said. Do not thank me, human. I am going to enjoy watching you suffer. Do-Hyun looked at the massive insect. We will see. The first trial was called Environmental Survival. All 50 cadets were dropped into a frozen tundra simulation. The temperature was 40 degrees below zero. Snow fell heavily. Wind cut through everything. Most of the alien species were from warm planets. They huddled together, trying to share heat. Their advanced armor had heating systems built in. But even those systems struggled against the cold. Do-Hyun's armor had no heating system. It was broken, remember? But instead of panicking, he did something strange. He took off the armor completely. The aliens watched in confusion. Was the human trying to die faster? Do-hyun opened the armor's power unit. He removed several small components. Then he gathered dry grass from under the snow. He found rocks. He worked quickly, his fingers turning red from cold dot. Within 10 minutes. He had built a fire. The aliens stared. Fire was primitive technology. Most species had moved beyond it thousands of years ago. But here, in this frozen place, with broken equipment and no supplies, fire was exactly what was needed. Do-hyun sat beside his fire, warming his hands. He looked completely comfortable. "How did you do that?" asked a young Solari cadet. Her name was Rin. She was shivering badly. "Humans discovered fire a long time ago," Do-hyun said. "We learned to make it from nothing. It is one of the first things we learn." Rin looked at her advanced heating unit. It was running out of power. In an hour she would freeze. "May I share your fire?" she asked quietly. The other aliens looked shocked. A Solari asking a human for help? It was unthinkable. Do-hyun nodded. "Sit down." Rin sat beside him. Soon, a few other cadets joined. Not many. Most were too proud. But a few were smart enough to know that pride would not keep them warm. In the observation deck, high above, Instructor Malik watched with narrow eyes. His note said, "Subject shows unexpected adaptation skills. Possible threat level reassessment required." Commandant Thelvok stood behind him. "It is just fire. Primitive. Meaningless." "Yes, Commandant," Malik said. But he did not sound convinced. The second trial began 3 hours later. It was called Predator Evasion. The cadets had to survive in a jungle simulation while hunting drones searched for them. The drones were programmed to target the weakest first. They had weapons that could stun or kill by all calculations. Do-hyun was the weakest. He was the smallest. He had the worst equipment. The drones would hunt him first. The trial began. Cadets scattered into the jungle. Most climbed trees. Some burrowed underground. The fastest ones simply ran. Do-hyun did something different. He did not run. He did not hide. He hunted. The first drone found him in 7 minutes. It locked onto his heat signature and flew toward him at high speed. Its weapons charged up with a high-pitched whine. Do-hyun waited. He stood completely still. The drone came closer, closer. Its targeting system locked onto his chest. At the last moment, Do-hyun moved. He was faster than the drone expected. He grabbed a vine, swung to the side, and let the drone crash into a tree. Then he was on top of it. He found the power unit and ripped it out. The drone died. Within 30 minutes, Do-hyun had destroyed 4 drones. He took their parts and built something. The observers could not tell what it was at first. It was a trap. By the end of the hour, Do-hyun had captured 2 more drones intact. He reprogrammed them using their own circuitry. Now they worked for him. The cadets who had laughed at him were now being hunted by his drones. From the observation deck, Yuna watched with a proud smile. She knew what was happening. Humans were tool users. It was what they did. Give them rocks, and they would make weapons. Give them enemies, and they would make allies. Give them nothing, and they would make something. The galaxy had never faced anything like humanity before. Verl found Do-hyun at the end of the trial. The big insect looked at the reprogrammed drones flying beside the human. His clicking voice was quieter now. "You cheated. The rules said survive for 1 hour," Do-hyun said. "I survived. I see no cheating. You turned their own weapons against them." "Yes, that is." Verl paused. He did not know the right word. "That is unexpected." Do-hyun looked at him. "Senior cadet, on my planet, we have a saying. Expect the unexpected. Perhaps your academy should learn it." Verl said nothing, but for the first time, he looked at the human with something other than contempt. It was not respect. Not yet, but it was the first tiny seed of doubt. The trial results were announced. Do-hyun had scored highest in both survival and evasion. Higher than cadets who had been training for years. Higher than VORL. Commandant Thelvox read the results in silence. His 4 eyes narrowed. Tomorrow, he announced, the third trial will take place. Direct combat. The human will face Senior Cadet Verl in the arena. The crowd cheered. This was what they wanted. A real fight. A chance to see the human broken and bleeding. The odds were calculated immediately. 1,000 to 1 against the human. No one bet on Do-hyun to win. Not a single credit dot as the crowd cleared. Do-hyun approached the registration desk. "I have a question," he said. "What?" The officer asked rudely. "The combat trial. Are there rules?" The officer laughed. "Rules? This is the academy, human. There are no rules. Only victory or death." Do-hyun nodded slowly. "Good. I just wanted to make sure." He walked away. Behind him, Yuna overheard the exchange. She took a deep breath and sent a message to Earth. Cadet Kang has been cleared for full engagement. Phase 3 begins tomorrow. The response came immediately from Commander Park Ji-woo. Understood. Let them see what we are. The combat dome could hold 10,000 spectators. Today, it was full. Aliens from across the galaxy had come to watch the human fight. Not because they expected a good match. They came to watch him lose. To see the weak creature from the weak planet finally break. Do-hyun stood on one side of the arena. He wore his cracked armor. His dull blade hung at his side. He looked small and alone. On the other side stood Senior Cadet Verl. The massive Keth warrior gleamed under the lights. His shell was polished to a shine. His 6 limbs flexed with power. His mandibles clicked with anticipation. The announcer's voice boomed across the dome. Today's combat trial. Senior Cadet Verl, undefeated champion, 17 kills in formal combat. Against Cadet Kang Do-hyun, first human in Academy history. No combat record available. The crowd laughed. No combat record. Of course, the human had no record. Humans were not fighters. Everyone knew that Commandant Thelvox watched from his private box. He was enjoying himself. After the strained results from the first 2 trials, he wanted to see the human humiliated properly. Yuna sat in the diplomatic section. Her hands were calm in her lap, but her heart was beating fast. She knew what was about to happen. She almost felt sorry for VORL. Almost. The signal sounded. The fight began. Vol charged immediately. He moved faster than seemed possible for his size. His 6 limbs carried him across the arena in seconds. His claws reached for Do-hyun's throat. Do-hyun stepped to the side. Vol's claws cut through empty air. He spun around, confused. He attacked again. A sweeping blow that should have cut the human in half. Do-hyun ducked. Another attack. Another miss. And another. And another. The crowd fell silent. Verl was the fastest fighter in the academy. His attacks had killed 17 opponents. No one had ever dodged him like this. No one had ever made him look slow. But Do-hyun was not just dodging. He was reading. Every twitch of Vol's muscles. Every shift in his weight. Every pattern in his movements. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters. They had chased prey for days across the African plains. They had learned to watch, to wait, to understand. Do-hyun understood Verl perfectly. "Stop running!" Verl screamed. "Fight me!" "I am fighting you," Do-hyun replied calmly. "You just cannot see it." Verl charged again. This time, he put everything into one massive strike. His strongest limb. his sharpest claw. All his power focused on one point. Do-hyun caught the limb. The arena gasped. Vorl could not believe it. His limb was trapped in the human's hands. He tried to pull back. He could not move. The human's grip was like iron. How? Vorl whispered. My planet has heavy gravity, Do-hyun said. Every day, we carry more weight than you can imagine. Our muscles are denser than they look. Our bones are stronger than they should be. Your scientists should have checked. He twisted. There was a crack. Vorl screamed. Do-hyun released him. The Keth stumbled back, one limb hanging useless. I broke your arm, Do-hyun said. You have 5 more. Do you want to continue? Vorl roared and attacked with all his remaining limbs at once. It was a desperate move. A final attempt to overwhelm the human was pure force. Do-hyun moved. What happened next took 11 seconds. The crowd saw it, but they could not understand it. The human seemed to flow like water around every attack. He struck pressure points. He targeted joints. He hit the gaps in Vorl's armor where the shell was thinnest. 11 seconds. 3 moves. Vorl collapsed. He was unconscious before he hit the ground. The arena was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. They had just watched their undefeated champion defeated in 11 seconds by a creature they had called weak. Do-hyun stood over Vorl's body. He was not even breathing hard. His heart rate had barely increased. In the diplomatic section, Yuna allowed herself a small smile. She remembered what Commander Park Ji-woo had told Do-hyun before he left Earth. They think we are weak because we are new to space. They do not know what humans had to survive to get here. A planet full of predators. Diseases that killed millions. Ice ages. Wars that destroyed civilizations. Show them what we are. But only if they force your hand. They had forced his hand. Commandant Thelvox rose slowly. His 4 eyes were wide with shock. But then his face hardened. He would not accept this. He could not accept this. The trial is compromised, he announced. His voice echoed across the silent dome. The human clearly cheated. Modified armor. Hidden weapons. This result is invalid. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Do-hyun looked up at the commandant's box. I cheated? Scam me. Scam my equipment. You will find nothing. Thelvox ignored him. Because of this breach, I am invoking Phase 4 of the evaluation. This has not been used in 800 years. But clearly, extreme measures are required. Yuna's smile faded. She knew what Phase 4 was. It was not a trial. It was an execution. Phase 4, Thelvox continued, is total subjugation. Every instructor, every senior cadet, against one target. It begins immediately. The crowd erupted in excitement. This was entertainment beyond their dreams. Hundreds of trained killers against one human. It would be a massacre. Medical teams rushed to collect Vorl's unconscious body. Guards moved to surround Do-hyun. Instructors began flooding into the arena. Do-hyun looked at all of them. Hundreds of enemies. Hundreds of weapons. Hundreds of aliens who wanted him dead. And for the first time since arriving at the academy, he smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who had finally been given permission to hunt. Commandant, Do-hyun called out. His voice was clear and calm. On my planet, we have a concept called proportional response. When someone threatens us, we respond with equal force. You gave me a fair fight. I gave you a fair defeat. He paused. The arena was silent again. But you just changed the rules. You just declared war on one person. And on Earth, when someone declares war on us, we do not respond with equal force anymore. He looked directly at Thelvox. We respond with everything we have. The commandant laughed. Pretty words, human. But you are one creature. We are 300. Dawn nodded. Yes, the odds are unfair. He stretched his neck, cracked his knuckles. I will try to go easy on you. And then the lights went out. In the darkness, someone screamed. When the lights came back on 3 seconds later, 12 guards were unconscious on the ground. Do-hyun was gone. Phase 4 had begun, but the Academy had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were hunting the human. They did not realize that the human was now hunting them. The Academy went into full lockdown. Every door sealed. Every window blocked. 300 of the best warriors in the galaxy spread out through the complex to find one human dot. They expected it to take minutes. They were wrong. Instructor Malik led the main hunting party. 50 soldiers moved through the corridors in perfect formation. Their weapons were ready. Their senses were sharp. They had hunted prey on 100 worlds, but they had never hunted a human before. The first sign of trouble came in Corridor 7. A soldier at the back of the formation simply vanished. No sound, no struggle. Just gone. When the others turned around, they found only his weapon on the floor. Stay together, Malik hissed. He is trying to separate us. They moved more carefully. But it did not help. In Corridor 12, the lights flickered. When they came back on, 3 more soldiers were down. They were not dead, just unconscious. Pressure points had been struck with perfect precision. Malik started to feel something he had not felt in many years. Fear. Meanwhile, Do-hyun moved through the academy like a ghost. He had memorized the layout during his first day. Every corridor, every ventilation shaft, every blind spot in the security cameras. Humans were good at remembering details. It was how they had survived on Earth. He reached the armory in 4 minutes. The guards never saw him coming. They woke up an hour later with headaches and no weapons. Do-hyun did not take the big guns. He did not need them. He took small things: wire, chemicals, power cells, components. Then he got to work. Within 20 minutes, he had turned the Academy's own systems against it. Security cameras now showed false images. Doors opened and closed randomly. The communication system played strange sounds that confused the soldiers. The heating in certain areas turned off, forcing enemies to move where Do-hyun wanted them. In the observation room, Yuna watched with growing amazement. She had known Do-hyun was good. She had not realized he was this good. She sent an emergency message to Earth. The evaluation has been compromised. Cadet Kang is fully active. Recommend immediate diplomatic intervention before he finishes. Commander Park Ji-woo's response came quickly. Intervention denied. Let him finish. It is time the galaxy understood what we are. In the main corridor, Instructor Malik had lost half his soldiers. Not to death. Do-hyun was careful about that. But to fear. Many had simply run away. They had seen their comrades fall one by one to an enemy they could not find. Their nerve had broken. Malik gathered what remained of his force. 15 soldiers. The best of the best. They would make their stand here. He's just one creature, Malik said, trying to sound confident. He cannot defeat all of us. Instructor, a soldier said quietly. Maybe we should retreat. Retreat? From a human? Instructor, he has taken down over 100 soldiers without killing anyone. That takes incredible skill and control. And he has not even slowed down. Malik opened his mouth to respond. Then the lights went out again. When they came back on, Malik was alone. All 15 soldiers were unconscious around him, and Do-hyun was standing 3 meters away. Hello, Instructor, Do-hyun said. Do you remember visiting my quarters on my first night? Malik backed away. His hand shook as he drew his blade. You put a knife to my throat, Do-hyun continued. You asked if I was afraid. Do you remember what I said? You said you should not be afraid of me, Malik whispered. I said not tonight, and not from you. DayHFY stepped closer. I was telling the truth. You were never a threat to me. None of you were. Malik attacked. It was desperate, wild, panicked. DayHFY caught his arm, twisted, and sent him flying into the wall. Malik slumped to the ground, barely conscious. DayHFY knelt beside him. On Earth, our ancestors hunted animals 10 times their size. Mammoths, giant cats, creatures with claws and fangs and armor. We killed them with pointed sticks and patience. He stood up. We did it by being patient, by never stopping, by making the prey know with absolute certainty that it could not escape. Tell me, instructor, do you feel like the hunter right now? Or the hunted? Malik could not answer. He passed out from fear. Cadet Rin watched from a hiding spot behind a broken door. She was the young Solari who had shared DayHFY's fire in the first trial. She had been hiding since Phase 4 began. She was too afraid to fight and too curious to run. DayHFY noticed her. Of course he did. You can come out, he said. I will not hurt you. Rin stepped out slowly. Her scales were pale with fear. Why? Why? What? Why are you not killing them? You could. Easily, but you knock them out and leave them. DayHFY looked at her. On my planet, we believe that mercy is strength. Anyone can kill. It takes real power to choose not to. But they tried to kill you. Yes, and I could kill them all in response. But then what? War between Earth and the Federation? Millions dead? For what? For pride? He shook his head. No. I am not here to destroy. I am here to teach. Teach what? That humans are not what they appear. That we are not weak. That we are not prey. He paused. And that underestimating us is the worst mistake anyone can make. Rin watched him walk away. She'd been raised to believe that aliens were either strong or weak, predator or prey. She had never considered that something could be both. That something could have the power to destroy and choose not to. It changed everything. She thought she knew. In the command center, Commandant Thelvox watched the situation fall apart. Over 200 soldiers had been defeated. His best instructors were unconscious. The human was systematically dismantling his entire academy, and not a single person had died. That was the most terrifying part. Death would have been understandable. War had casualties, but this was something else. This was absolute control. The human was showing them that he could kill at any moment but chose not to. The message was clear. We are not enemies, but we could be if you force us. Commandant, an aide said. He is approaching the command center. Thelvox stood up straight. He was the leader of the academy. He had fought in 7 wars. He had killed more enemies than he could count. He would face this human himself. Let him come, Thelvox said, and tell the guards to stand down. The aide looked shocked. Commandant? I said stand down. If he wanted to kill us, we would already be dead. Clearly, he wants something else. Thelvox walked toward the door. Let us find out what. The sun was starting to set on Vorn 3. It had been 12 hours since DayHFY arrived at the academy. The longest bet on his survival had been 12 hours. They had all been wrong. Not only had he survived, he had conquered, and he had done it without killing a single soul. The command center doors slid open. DayHFY walked in calmly, as if he was visiting a friend. His clothes were torn in places. There was some blood on his hands, but none of it was his. Otherwise, he looked exactly as he had that morning. Commandant Thelvox stood alone in the middle of the room. He had sent all his guards away. There was no point in keeping them. They would only get hurt. So, Thelvox said. The human arrives. Do-hyun stopped a few meters away. Commandant, you have defeated my academy. 300 soldiers. 20 instructors. My best warriors. Thelvox's voice was quiet. And you did not kill any of them. No. Why? Do-hyun thought for a moment. On Earth, we have many types of victory. The cheapest victory is one paid for in blood. The most expensive victory is one earned through restraint. I wanted to show you what Earth considers valuable. Thelvox reached for his ceremonial blade. It hung at his side in a golden case. This weapon had killed champions from 17 different species. It was perfectly balanced, perfectly sharp. The greatest blade ever made. He drew it slowly. One final fight then. Leader against invader. If you win, you prove your point. If I win, your planet burns. Do-hyun looked at the blade. Then he looked at Thelvox. Is that really what you want? It is what honor demands. Very well. Thelvox attacked. He was old, but still fast. Still strong. He had centuries of experience. His blade cut through the air in perfect arcs. The fight lasted 4 seconds. Do-hyun moved once. He slipped past the blade like water flowing around a stone. His hand shot out, struck a pressure point on Thelvox's wrist. The blade flew from the commandant's grip. It spun through the air and embedded itself in his command chair, less than a centimeter from his crystalline skull. Thelvox stood frozen. He looked at the blade. Then he looked at Do-hyun. You could have killed me, he said. Yes, but you chose not to. I told you. Restraint is expensive. Killing is cheap. Do-hyun stepped back. I did not come here to destroy you, Commandant. I came here to make you understand. Understand what? That Earth is not what you think. That humans are not what you think. That when you invited me here to be humiliated, you made a mistake. Not because I would destroy you, but because I would show you exactly how wrong you were. At that moment, Yuna entered the command center. Behind her was a holographic display showing the seal of the Galactic Federation Council. 12 alien faces looked out from the screen. Commandant Thelvox, Yuna said formally. I represent Earth's diplomatic mission, and I have a message for you. She touched her console. A recording began to play. It showed everything. The broken equipment given to Do-hyun, the contaminated water, the midnight attack by Instructor Melik, the unfair trials, the illegal Phase 4, every moment of abuse and dishonor. Captured by Earth satellites. The Federation Council had seen it all. By the laws of the Galactic Federation, one council member said. The Academy has violated 17 articles of the Fair Evaluation Treaty. The treatment of Cadet Kang Do-hyun was criminal. Thelvox's face went pale. However, another council member added, we must also acknowledge what happened next. Cadet Kang defeated your entire academy. 300 trained soldiers. 0 fatalities. 0 permanent injuries. This level of skill and restraint is unprecedented in galactic history. The head of the council spoke last. Earth's petition for Federation membership is hereby approved. Full rights. Full access. Immediately. Yuna smiled. Furthermore, Earth demands a formal apology and a permanent human seat on the Military Training Council. Thelvox looked at the hologram, then at Do-hyun, then at his blade, still stuck in his chair. I have no choice, he said quietly. You have plenty of choices, Do-hyun replied. You could refuse. You could start a war. You could let your pride destroy everything. He paused. Or you could learn, grow, become better. That is always a choice. Thelvox was silent for a long time. Then, slowly, he lowered his head. On behalf of the Galactic Military Academy, I apologize to Earth. I apologize to Cadet Kang Do-hyun. We were wrong. It was the first time a commandant had apologized in 800 years. Later, as the sun finally set, DayHFY walked through the academy courtyard. Medical ships had arrived to treat the wounded. Cadets and instructors were being loaded onto stretchers. They would all recover. They would all remember. Cadet Rin found him near the landing pad. "You are leaving?" she asked. "My mission is complete." Rin hesitated. Then she spoke the words she had been thinking for hours. "We were taught that new species must prove their worth through suffering, that only the strong deserve respect. But you showed us something different." DayHFY looked at the young Solari. "What did I show you? That mercy is not weakness. That restraint is not cowardice. That true strength is the ability to destroy and the wisdom to choose not to." She bowed her head slightly. "Thank you." DayHFY nodded. "Remember this day, Cadet Rin. Tell others what you saw. Not about how I defeated the academy, but about why I did not kill anyone. That is the real lesson." He walked to his shuttle. Yuna was already inside, waiting for him. "The council is terrified of us now," she said as he sat down. DayHFY shook his head. "Not terrified. Aware. There is a difference. Terror makes enemies. Awareness makes them think twice. And thinking twice is enough. Thinking twice is all we ever needed." He looked out the window as the shuttle began to rise. Humans have never been the strongest. Never been the fastest. Never been the biggest. But we think. We adapt. We survive. And when pushed too far, we push back. The shuttle rose higher. Below, the academy grew smaller and smaller. "Before I left Earth," DayHFY said quietly, "Commander Park told me something. She said humans have been tested for 200,000 years. By ice ages. By predators. By plagues. By ourselves. She said we passed every test because we never stopped adapting." He closed his eyes. "Today was just another test. And we passed again." On Vorn 3, the academy began the long process of recovery. Soldiers woke up with headaches and wounded pride. Instructors questioned everything they had believed. Commandant Thelvox stared at his blade embedded in his chair and wondered how he had been so blind. Across the galaxy, species who had dismissed humanity as weak began to receive reports of what happened. Analysts reviewed the footage. Strategists updated their assessments. Diplomats rewrote their approach to Earth. One report, written by a senior Federation military analyst, was classified at the highest level. Its final line would be quoted in military academies for centuries to come. Recommendation: do not test humanity. They are not what they appear. They've never been what they appear. And by the time you realize this, it is already too late. The shuttle carried DayHFY toward the stars. Behind him, a galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity had arrived, and they were just getting started.